Welcome, my friends. Welcome to Porter's Place. I'm Chris Porter. Tonight, we have a special guest in the house, now former First Coast Bucks head coach Marty Lee. I got to get used to saying that. Coach Lee stepped down as the Bucks head man after more than 2 decades at the school. Lee stepping down as the longest tenured head football coach at a single location in Duval County public school history. And defensive coordinator Jarvis Parker promoted to the head coaching job. Joining me now is the man with the plan, a man who has been so good to me since I arrived here in Duval. In 2009. Yes. Coach Lee, so good to see you.
Yeah, it's so good to see you too, Chris. It's we've been down a long path together.
We have.
I remember you on Friday night. Oh,
still rolling.
I remember it. It was good times, really good times. You've done a lot. It's been an honor to be here.
Coach, when did you know it was time?
Well, you know, I've been saying for a long time, I've been wanting the right person to be there. Jarvis has been with me for 16 years, and I felt it was time for him to, you know, take over. Last year, I gave him a lot of responsibility. You know, I love football. I've been doing it since I was 5 years old. My high school football coach saved my life, and when I was going down the wrong path, and you know, I just felt that it was time for someone at First Coast to take over. I'd been there 28 years, and I'm excited to see what Jarvis is going to do. I'm real excited.
Was it a decision you wrestled with?
A little bit. You know, anytime that you've been doing something as long as I've been doing it, you know, you've been at one school for 35 years, and it's hard just to completely walk away. And that's why I won't ever completely walk away. I told Jarvis, you still got to let me cut the grass. He goes, Coach, you got it. You can cut all the grass you want. But it was time, and you know, I've had a couple of my buddies, you know, Joe Reynolds and Kevin Sullivan, and they stepped down and stayed at AD and let the transition, you know, make it a little bit smoother. And so, you know, I'm trying to follow in those footsteps.
When you took over in 1990, young, vibrant, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed head coach, did you ever envision the success and the longevity?
No. You know, I wanted to put my mark somewhere in Jacksonville. You know, I'm not from here. I'm from Mississippi. I got here in 1985. As a young coach, you bounce around from school to school. And then finally, Bill Stone got the job at First Coast and hired me as the baseball coach, as the head baseball coach. And I was there for 7 years. Troy Lamb was the first head football coach, then Billy McCann after him. And then in '97, I became the athletic director and head football coach, and been there ever since. And I wanted to put my mark somewhere, and I hope I've left a good impression.
So make sure I'm correct here. 1997.
97,
took over the head.
Took over the football.
You arrived though in 1990.
So I'm the last member of the original staff. I was telling somebody the other day, I remember our first faculty meeting. I'm sitting on concrete slabs in the auditorium, 1990. I was in there this past Friday, and I looked up there and I said, man, has time flown. Never thought it would be, you know, it is what it is.
You know, when you talk to head coaches, they always tell you you're only as good as your players. You, as I said at the top here, you endured so much success there, and you have coached some terrific players over
I've had some good ball players. And, you know, you think about some of the guys that have come through, you know, Chris Black, you know, that's the first ball that DeAndre ever threw a ball to. DeAndre Johnson, Mr. Football. You don't get a lot of chances. Ron Stamper. Now, the success he had at Florida, Reggie Lewis at Florida, you know, Shaq Wilson. You know, I mean, I can just keep going on the name. For about a 10-year period, Chris, we had about 8 to 10 Division I football players.
Yeah.
Power 5.
Yeah.
You know, and so very excited about all those young men. And then you think about the young men who are successful in our society. You know, Dr. Powell, he owns all the Coastal Spines. He was a kicker, went to Alabama State. And now he's a very successful man here in this town. We've got lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs. It's funny, I'll go to restaurants and people will hear my voice. And I'm kind of a loud guy, but I got that distinct voice. And they'll say, Coach Lee, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'll say, and I'll have to think for a minute. You know, we were thinking about the other day, I've coached over 3,000 young men in football, over 1,000 in baseball, and I hope I've had a small part in their life, and I know they've had a big part in my life.
Coach, one thing for certain is that no matter the issue, no matter the situation, you have never shied away from using your position to confront matters head on, whether they were good, whether they were bad. I want to take you back to 2015. We at that time as a city was experiencing a lot of issues with young people in our city. You had a player die that year. You also had a former player get into a situation. Let's go back down memory lane. Take a look. It has been one turbulent offseason for the First Coast Buccaneers. They've had to deal with tragedy. They've also seen one of their former players get into some trouble. Tonight we take you to the heart of the game with how this team has managed to persevere despite so much off-the-field trouble.
We're excited like everybody else. We're ready to put that helmet on, get going.
For head coach Marty Lee and his First Coast Buccaneers, the regular season can't come soon enough. In the spring, the Bucs had to deal with the death of one of their beloved teammates, 17-year-old John L. Johnson, who was shot and killed at a house party.
When John L. passed, it was a devastating blow. You know, there were two coaches that John L. went to their classroom every day, and they called me and just wept. I mean, it totally upset young coaches. You know, there's nothing in the book for this. You know, that's not in the coach's manual.
John L.'s death came around the same time
What's that, the emergency?
the city of Jacksonville was dealing with violent acts being committed by young people seemingly every day. Lee led the charge, demanding something be done.
Got to do some things to change what's happening out there and not just ignore it and say, oh, well, it's one of those situations. It's not.
In the process of calling on coaches and the entire community to get involved and help, the Bucs program was dealt another blow. Surveillance video from a Tallahassee nightclub showed former First Coast quarterback DeAndre Johnson punching a woman in the face. Lee immediately reached out to DeAndre.
2 seconds of a person's life doesn't make who he is. Okay, I don't throw away my children. I'm not going to throw away these football players. We've got to make sure our young men today understand that there's another way besides violence. Okay, a lot of times we spend so much time on X's and O's that we don't teach guys how to be men. We don't teach them how to do things the right way.
How did you use those two incidents as teaching tools to your current team?
I said, don't do something in 2 seconds and 3 seconds and it's going to be with you for the rest of your life. If DeAndre could take those 2 seconds back, he would. Don't be in situations that put yourself in harm's way. And I'm telling you, these kids want discipline. I'm telling you that. They may act like they don't. They do. They want that structure.
When you think about the experiences that you've dealt with since the spring with the death of your player to the present, even with the situation with DeAndre, how has this changed and influenced you as a person, knowing you never faced this before in your 30-year coaching career?
It's made me a stronger person. It made me realize more deeply it's a game, that life is for real. It just makes me understand the kids more, be involved with the kids, be involved with the parents. What we need to do is start showing more positive lights so that we can, again, encourage kids. And what y'all are doing makes a big difference in these kids' life. These kids wait for y'all's show. They can't wait to see it. That sideline, hashtag, what you do, keep it rolling, all of it. I'm telling you, it's a big deal, man. I'm going to tell you right there.
Lee also wanted to set the record straight about his school's image.
This is a great school, okay? Every school has problems, from Bowles all the way down to the smallest school in town, okay? It's how you handle those problems and what you do to correct it so it doesn't happen again. And that's what we're trying to do here at First Coast.
And Coach, let's walk back through those situations. Let's go back to 2015. We were talking before we came out here on set. John L. Johnson's death still bothers you to this day.
To this day, it bothers me. You know, that he goes to a party, some random guy pulls out a gun, starts firing the gun, he's trying to run out like everybody else and gets shot and killed. And to this day, that guy has not been convicted. And we've got to change the fact that when you see something negative, you've got to tell people. You've got to warn them what's going on. You know, you're worried about being a snitch. That's not being a snitch. That's helping your mankind. That's helping your brother out. And it bothers me. And, you know, he was a great young man. And DeAndre Johnson, I cannot speak highly enough of him. Mm-hmm. He has overcome that small situation in his life. He has used it to make him a better man. Mm-hmm. He's coaching college right now. He's still trying to live that dream. You know, that's why you don't just get rid of people. You know, we all make mistakes. You know, we were speaking earlier that sometimes, you know, kids need a change of environment.
Yes.
But that's why our coaching staff now in this town needs to get a better camaraderie. It's not like it was 20 years ago, when you had, you know, the Corkies and the Joey Wilds and the Kevin Sullivans and the Joe Reynolds and, you know, the Weldon Coffees. We'd all get together. We're not doing that. You've got to do that to communicate to these kids who they are, what their problems are, you know, so that we can help them. Because it doesn't stop. When football's over, your job never ends. You've got to be there for those kids. You know, after 2015, it changed my approach. We all want to win.
Yes.
That's why they keep a scoreboard, okay? You know, but it changed about the fact that we got to do a better job of preparing these kids for life after football. Because the percentage is 1% that goes to the NFL. And then you hear of all the guys who play in the NFL for 2 or 3 years, and then they have no success. We have to continue. It's never a job that ends. And all the young coaches have to know that. We've got to continue to build our young men up to be great members of our society. And it's okay to fall. It's okay to make a mistake. If you make a mistake, learn from it and move on.
Yep. Coach, you know, one of the other things that I really admired, still do admire about you, is that you took so much pride in your school. When people would say something negative about First Coast, you'd be the first one charging out, saying, wait a minute, let's set the record straight.
Oh, and I still to this day. You know, I love First Coast. I opened that school in 1990, and I'm going to retire from that school. And it's a great school. And the school is what the community makes. But you got to get the community involved. You got to have everybody understand that you're going to make mistakes. When you do, how do we learn from this? And take that leadership team. Right now, First Coast has a great young principal, Dr. Ronnie Williams. He's an athlete. He cares about athletics, but his number one goal is academic. It's to make these young men and young women productive members of our society. So Jarvis has a great guy to help lead him, you know, as far as administrative point goes.
Let's talk about Jarvis Parker, your defensive coordinator. You believe you're leaving the program in great hands?
There's no doubt I'm leaving it in great hands. I wouldn't have stepped away if I wouldn't have. You know, Jarvis has worked with me for 16 years. I've seen him grow. I've seen him go to Alabama State. I've seen him come back. He was my head JV football coach, went undefeated for a couple years, got promoted to defensive coordinator once Fred Culver resigned and retired, and he's done an outstanding job this past year. I mean, just to go to show you, Chris, we announced he's the coach on Monday. He's already taken the kids to a camp on Saturday. He already took them to a camp yesterday. He's already contacting coaches. He's communicating with them. He's excited. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for him, and I know he's going to do a great job, and I'm going to be right there with him. I don't have to hold his hand. I don't have to hold his hand. You know, he's got his own job, and he's driving the truck now. But if it goes crooked, he needs somebody to help fix the flat. I'll be there for him.
Coach, unlike you did early in your career, now these young coaches are facing a new challenge, NIL, all of that kind of good stuff. What advice would you give to him to try to navigate through all of this?
Well, he's got to be upfront with the kids. Be himself. That's what I would tell every young coach that I know. Don't be somebody you're not. Be who you are. Develop a program and change your program with the athletes you have. You can't be so hard-headed and say, I'm going to run the wing T, and you got guys running 4.4s. But you also can't run a spread offense if you got running backs that are 240 pounds. So you've got to be able to adjust with that. You know, the NIL deal is something that's new. I mean, it's only the second year in existence, and the rules are changing every day. I mean, and that's the one thing about a young coach that I would say to him and any other young coach, you got to be able to adapt on the fly. FHSA just changed 2 rules today. I mean, this week. You know, so you've got to be up with the rules, and you got to be up with the kids and understand kind of what's going on. Stay fluent with it. Get on the internet, talk to other coaches. Don't be afraid to ask questions. So many times we're young and we don't want to ask questions. There's some old dogs out there that can teach you some new tricks. Just don't be afraid to do it.
Coach, as you get ready to take the next step, you're still the AD at the school. What's next?
Well, you know, a lot of people ask me that. I've been asked that question a lot the last couple of days. There's a couple of things in you know, irons in the fire. You know, that I'm looking at. Who knows? I might be working with you. You never know. I mean, so there's some things that's kind of going. I'm going to always be involved in football. A good friend of mine, you know, Ram used to be the football coach at Reebok. Just got the AD job at Lakeshore. I reached out to him. Let me come help you over there. You know, and you know, my whole thing is just still stay involved in football. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to miss them 6 o'clock workouts now. I'm not going to miss that now, albeit out there in that heat. But I'm just excited for Jarvis. And, you know, I would tell people, you know, I was fortunate. I had 12 administrators. And that's key to a young coach. You've got to get that relationship like this. You got to not hide things from them. You're going to make mistakes. Tell them. You know, right now, Jarvis has a great leader. at First Coast, but I would tell any young coach that you know, as far as advice that they would need to do there.
Of all the things you accomplished, what are you most proud of?
The first Wednesday in February, National Signing Day. It's always been the biggest thing, you know, to see those families come in. We were the first school that did the celebration. We were talking about that the other day, and now everybody does it, and now it's great celebration. But to see the parents, the smiles, to know that their child is going to go on to college, you know, and all the hard work is paid off. Oh, the wins, you know, I enjoyed being on ESPN, and you know, and the Hall of Fame is all good, and you know, being president of FACA, but still, that first Wednesday, and I hope that continues. But the way the transfer portal and NIL, I don't know. Now we got 2 signing days, but that was always that fun Wednesday. It was always a fun time.
You had a window there where you had some gifted players.
Yes.
DeAndre was your quarterback. You weren't able to win a state championship.
Wasn't
Does
able.
that bother you?
No, you know, I told somebody, matter of fact, me and Kevin Sullivan were talking about this the other day. You know, I was able to get there. There's only been 4 public schools in the history of the FHSA from Duval to get to the state championship. Us, Sounderwood, Rains, and Mandarin. And Rains and Mandarin, thank God, have won it. But the accomplishment of getting there, and I told my coaches that day, I said, take this in. We may never get back. And we never did. You know, you would love to have that title as, you know, a state, but, you know, we won 6 Gateway Conference championships in a row. You know, we went to playoffs 11 consecutive years. You know, we've got 7 district championships. So there's a lot to build on. Jarvis is going to do a good job of building that program. You know, but Chris, a lot of people don't realize classifications make a big difference too. Okay, so yeah, I think about some of those teams that we had. We're not in the same classification with Apopka. We win 2 of those. But then my buddy Scott at Lake Mary would say, well, Coach, we were 12-0 and you beat us both years. so there's some great moments. I remember some things on the field. I remember the first catch when we made the playoffs and overtime against Lee High School, 21-20. I remember when Fleming Island should not have punted the ball to Chris Black. Should have done that. I remember when Lakeland rolled in, we wouldn't let them bring in their bell and their cannon. That was a big ordeal. And, you know, and that I think that put our program on the map that year because, you know, first coaches can make the playoffs, but they can't win the big one. And then for us to beat 4 Hall of Fame coaches and make it to the state championship means a lot to me. You know, I've had 9 coaches that have coached under me that have gone on to be a head coach. 6 of them are still a head coach today. 5 are here in Duval County.
Wow.
And so to see those guys, they'll call me up, they'll ask me questions. I'll go by and watch a practice. Those things mean a lot to me. So that keeps me vibrant. You know, I think about some of the baseball players. Stephen Barnes is now our new head baseball coach. Oh, but he's an outstanding young coach. Was my OC, but he played for me. So he understood how we ran baseball. I remember Brian Wilson. He owns a Wilson Body Shop on Dunn Avenue. Great support of our program. He's one of my best friends. We're going to go to Costa Rica in June on his 50th birthday.
Can you take me?
No, I'll take you with us. You know, it's people like that that mean a lot to me, and you know, and it just, you know, to see the outcome, the people who've been texting me and calling me, it means a lot to me.
All right, Coach, come back to your spot. We're going to wrap it up with this. We need your new spot so we can look good. What do you want when 10, 20 years from now, when they look back at First Coast football under your leadership, what do you want your legacy to be?
That he cared for the kids. He loved the kids for who they were. It wasn't about the wins and losses. It was about being a man, being held accountable, being held structured and be disciplined. That's what I want to be remembered for. You know, they're not going to put my record on my tombstone. But what I want them to do is say that he was a good father, a good husband, you know, and a good coach, that we could count on him when we needed him. You know, I had the privilege of, you know, seeing my daughter, Caitlin, cheer for me and watching my son, Justin, play baseball and golf and be valedictorian. I didn't get to miss that. And so I would tell young coaches, when you coach everybody else's kids, don't forget yours are going to grow up soon. Your kids are growing up. But I just want to be remembered as a guy who loved and cared about his community, cared about First Coast. And I hope that I've made an impression in Duval County. And, you know, so it's been good. I think my mom would have been proud of me. She, you know, my voice is different than most people's. And I always used to tell Mom, people make fun of me all the time, Mama. And she said, Marty, She goes, you can make it a positive or negative. God put you in this position for a reason. And I hope I made it a positive.
Coach, I just want to say personally thank you. When I arrived in 2009, your program was running like a well-oiled machine.
It was a machine.
And when I came to practice and met you for the first time, you treated me as well then as you treated me now, and you did not have to. And I want to say thank you,
I appreciate it. And you know, and what I said in 2015, these kids today still can't wait for Friday Night Lights. They still can't wait to see what y'all do for them. And it's not just the big schools. I love the way y'all do the little schools, because that matters too.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's been my honor to be your friend, to continue to be your friend. And you know, if I can ever do anything for you, I'm here for you, brother.
All right, love you, Coach.
Love you, man.
Once again, the former head coach of the First Coast Buccaneers, head coach Marty Lee, stepping down after more than 2 decades at the school. But if you watch this whole segment, he's got me fired up. I want to play.
Hey, look,
excellent motivator.
You know, you never know what God has in store, you know,
Yep.
but I love this game. Maybe. You know, so again, and you know, my wife, Natalie, has been tremendous to me, and you know, I love my brother-in-law. He coaches at Plant, you know, Cullen and his family. His mama was Mama Sullivan at Mandarin. It's funny how all the ties. And then you know, like you said, it's been a joy.
Yep.
It's been a joy.
All right, Coach. Thank you for watching this edition of Porter's Place. Great to see you, Coach.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.